Hello and welcome back to another video. So recently, with the growing popularity of GTA 5 roleplay, I have had a lot of questions about it, as well as I know a lot of people have just been kind of interested in it, not knowing too much and kind of wanting to know kind of what it is, honestly. Also, I know a lot of people try to explain it to either their friends or family, and just because, you know, they say the word roleplay, they think it's some weird thing. First of all, it's not some weird thing. I mean, sometimes for some people it is, but in general, it's pretty much a normal game, just with some different rules and some stuff that makes it a little bit better for the player experience. But I figured today I would make a video kind of going over what GTA roleplay is, as well as how to get into it, and then also later on in the video going into a couple different types of servers that there usually are for GTA RP. So again, in this video we'll be starting off explaining GTA roleplay as a whole, and then how to get into it, and then later on in the video again we will be going over the different types of roleplay servers as well. So starting off, let's start off talking a little bit about what GTA 5 roleplay is. Alrighty, so starting off again with what GTA 5 roleplay is as a whole, I'm going to kind of go over it as fast as I can with not, you know, skipping too many of the main parts. I don't want this video to be super long, and I want it to be pretty concise and able to digest pretty easily. So starting off, again, GTA 5 roleplay is typically played on a modded GTA 5 client. Now there's a bunch of different clients that have their advantages and disadvantages, but the main three are Alt-V, which is most rarely used, and then 5M and Rage MP. And this client allows for people hosting the server to control the server to make it feel a bit more lifelike and a lot more balanced, with typically a lot more restrictions on what players can do to make it so it's not just people running around just shooting each other and ramming into each other's cars. You know, although there definitely are some some RP servers that are like this out there. But most servers try and avoid it and try and keep it a little bit more realistic than how it would be on GTA Online or other kind of online games. The main goal for the majority of these RP servers is to allow players of it to create their own characters and kind of step out of their normal life or their normal games where they just go and they do a task or whatever, and kind of give them the freedom to go do as what they want with the server or what they want on the server or for their character. Players are allowed to kind of step out of their normal life and quote-unquote role play, as you know, obviously it's implied, a character or a role different from themselves in real life, or just, you know, playing the game as normal. Commonly, players will take on the roles that NPCs would normally take in GTA, such as the police force, EMS, criminals, store owners, car dealers. There's honestly a ton, again, depending on the servers. Some servers have more jobs, some servers have less, but in general, there's a ton more stuff for different players to do, and they can be anything, again, from just like a hobo to a high-ranking police officer. You can kind of decide what your story is and kind of build it from there, and, you know, obviously go through the different avenues on different servers to try and get to what your RP or your character wants to be. Now, usually, most players will do one of two things to play RP. The first route that some players go down is creating a character completely separate from their own personality, instead play and or act as a completely unique character. So say I might create a character called Billy Gargonzola, and he might be this high-ranking drug official who, you know, hates people and he's just a horrible person, but, you know, in reality I'm a nice guy, stuff like that. It's basically just creating a character that's completely separate from you and kind of diving into that character and acting out how that character would act out. The second route that a lot of people also do, which is kind of the most common one that I've honestly seen, is keeping a majority of their own personality and they're kind of the same voice they would do normally, and instead exaggerating some aspects of their personality or kind of changing it slightly to kind of feel more like a character, and then playing instead a role. An example of something like this is someone keeping their character very similar to themselves, but instead of, you know, creating this kind of crazy character that does a bunch of crazy stuff, they instead go play the role of maybe a cop or a weapons dealer or a store owner, but they still retain kind of their same personality for the most part and kind of most of the same ideas that the person would have as a person and not as a character. Another big aspect that the majority of roleplay servers have that differs a lot from normal GTA is the rules. Without the rules in place, obviously everything would be kind of crazy. So instead of just being able to go around shooting and stealing as many cars as you want, the majority of RP servers have a bit more strict rules to keep everything a bit more realistic, such as Fear RP, which in short just means that your character should fear for his or her life, or the no value of life rule, also known as NVL, where again very similar to Fear RP, where your character will most likely value their life. This really prevents a lot of situations, just people driving like 200 miles per hour, ramming into everyone, or people performing super unrealistic actions and breaking the immersion of the server and the players that play on it. Now, of course, every server will have slightly different rules, but in general, the rules are to keep everything somewhat contained and manageable, both for the server admins and also to give the players a bit more of an experience. Now, the main draw for GTA RP is that it allows players to do a lot of stuff that they really wouldn't be able to do normally in either normal GTA Online or just in almost any other game possible. A lot of stuff in GTA RP is unique to just GTA RP, and of course maybe some other RP games as well, but you'd never really be able to do it in almost any other kind of online game, since everyone would just go to immediately shooting you, or you know, just messing it up and messing around. But instead of just playing again GTA Online and running some automated things here and there, with RP you're able to actually make and create almost anything you could imagine. You can be anything from a low-life drug dealer to a high-ranking detective in the PD to a slightly sketchy private lawyer. I mean, of course not all these jobs will be available on all servers, but the good ones have all these jobs available. The big draw, honestly, with RP is to be able to create your own story and use your imagination to a maximum. And another main draw for GTRP, at least for me, is that you're kind of able to create your own stories and kind of develop your story of your character as you go along, which is, in my opinion, one of the coolest aspects of GTRP. It's not just like, hey, I'm gonna go do this thing and then this thing's gonna happen. You might go on just a normal, let's just say a taco delivery run, so you're going to just deliver some food. Maybe you'll hit like a gang member's car on the way over there, start a whole fight between you guys. Maybe someone else gets involved to protect you, and then you start a whole beef. You have to go into hiding now because of these gangsters hunting you down. There's just a plethora of stuff that can happen just while you're doing your normal day-to-day routine with RP, and that's what makes it really exciting. Something simple such as hitting someone's car by accident can turn into something super advanced, such as, you know, fighting or taking down a whole mafia. There's a ton of stuff that can happen in RP, and it all just has to go around players interacting with other players. Nothing scripted, you know, nothing's, you know, just settled out like this is gonna happen and this is gonna happen. Everything, you know, can change and happen in an instant. It makes it really entertaining. It makes it so you don't really get bored of it too easily. But I think that's going to be about it for kind of a brief explanation of what GTA 5 RP is. Next, we're going to be talking a little bit about the three main different kinds of servers. The first two being economy and Vmenu or menu servers, and then the last one being scenario servers. They're a lot rarer and not really seen too often. So again, hopefully this has given you a little bit of an explanation into what GTA 5 roleplay is, and maybe helped you or your family or your friends understand it a little bit better. But either way, let's just talk about a little bit again about the different types of servers now. So let's get right into it. Alrighty, so starting off with the three different servers we're going to be talking about, again being economy, Vmenu, and scenario servers. We're going to be starting off with the economy servers. In economy servers, you kind of start off, again, your starting stuff changes from server to server, but in general, you start off with pretty much nothing. You might again start with some money here, maybe a phone, maybe something here, but in general, once you start off on these servers, you will, for the most part, start off with almost nothing. And you will kind of build your way up through doing various scripted jobs on the server, maybe joining some of the whitelisted jobs that you have to apply for, such as the PD, EMS, lawyers, and a bunch of other jobs. And you can gain money and assets this way. With the money you get, you can obviously purchase cars from dealerships, you can buy apartments or houses, and you can obviously purchase a bunch of different things, obviously depending on what you can buy on that server. You might be able to, you know, obviously buy some heavier weapons, maybe with a bunch more money, or purchase weapon licenses, driver's licenses, trucks. There's just a ton of stuff that you can do with economy servers, but they're a lot better in my opinion than Vmenu servers, because players, you know, have to actually value and think about their actions, or at least they have to think about their actions a lot more. And to give a little bit of an example of why players obviously have to care a little bit more on economy servers than on servers where you can just kind of spawn stuff in, is because let's say you're doing a bank robbery when you're doing this bank robbery, instead of just winning or losing, doesn't really matter either way, you have a little bit more of an incentive to try and actually, you know, make a good plan or a creative way to escape, so you don't actually lose what you get in that bank robbery. Because instead, you know, obviously if you get out of the bank robbery, you escape from the cops and everything, you actually get a reward for it. You get some money, which again can advance your storyline or advance your character in general. But of course, if you do get caught by the police, you might have to go to jail, you might face fines, you might face time, you might get a car impounded. There's a lot more consequences for economy servers, and I think in my opinion it makes it a lot more interesting, and it makes you, you know, actually care a little bit more about the stuff. Also with economy servers, since people do of course, you know, like to generate money, even though that shouldn't be the main focus, it can lead to some really cool RP with people making specific businesses, such as, let's say, rental companies or a taxi cab service, or maybe like an Uber service or driver for hire companies. There's just a bunch of stuff that people can make through RP to make them more money, but also give other players a lot of RP and a lot of fun times and good memories. Honestly, overall, economy servers are personally my favorite kind of server, because again, you are just, you know, actually feeling like you're progressing through a character, you're building up a storyline, you kind of build a story over time depending on what your character wants to do and what you want to do as a player. And of course, as stuff goes on, money obviously becomes an aspect in different things, but in general, I think economy servers are a lot better, since everyone starts on the same playing field and everyone has to build both themselves up as well as their character, as well as their character's money, and really, you know, gives you yourself a sense of time as you go on and meet people, make relations, talk to people, get friends, you know, find people to do business with. Honestly, having economy servers is really nice, because most of the jobs, if done right and if made right by the devs for the server, will also facilitate RP between different players, and overall can lead to a really awesome experience. Next, again, we're going to be talking about Vmenu servers a little bit, so let's go into that right now. Okay, so as I said before, personally I prefer economy servers, but that's also because I have a decent amount of time, and the economy servers do take a lot of time for you to get established, as well as of course do all the other stuff I talked about. But that's where Vmenu servers come into play, at least in my opinion. Vmenu servers are basically these servers where you're able to kind of go around, you can spawn in vehicles for yourself, you can spawn in weapons, you can spawn in pretty much anything you could think of that you would need. And typically, from what I've seen, most Vmenu servers aren't really made for RP in general. Most of them are just so you can kind of go around, spawn different cars and have some fun with friends, or just, you know, mess around in general. But some Vmenu servers are for RP, although there's obviously no money involved and your characters aren't really getting anything. It's more just for the fun of it. So instead, on these Vmenus, you might, you know, spawn in a car, get into some cop chases, maybe do a bank heist, stuff like that. But again, it's just for fun. You don't really get anything out of it. But again, if you do want to just have some scenarios, some lighthearted fun, not have to worry about really building your character up, you can kind of just mess around on these servers. That's, in my opinion, a little bit what the Vmenu servers are meant for, although they definitely have their place, and there are some really good Vmenu servers out there if you look hard enough that do provide good RP, although it is definitely a little bit harder to find. And again, to leave this off, I don't have a ton of experience of Vmenu servers, so this is just kind of what I've seen and what I've heard from other people. I have tried a couple Vmenu servers myself, but never really liked them. There seem to be a lot of people just going around breaking rules, not really caring about RP in general. But again, that's just from what I've seen in my personal experience. But there definitely are, again, some really good Vmenu servers out there, but I guarantee that those ones are definitely whitelisted that you have to apply for. And I think that's going to be about it for the Vmenu servers. Again, just wanted to give a quick explanation to what they are. Basically, it's servers where, again, you open up a menu and you're able to spawn stuff in, do certain actions, teleport around, and do a bunch of stuff like that. And it's definitely a little bit more on the casual side. Next, we're going to be, of course, talking about the last server, or the last type of server in this video, scenario servers. So let's talk about that very quick. Alright, so with scenario servers, again, starting off, these are the kind of very, very rare servers. You don't really see these too often, so I'm not going to talk about them for too long. But these ones are kind of similar to Vmenu, where there's no money or anything like that. I mean, some of them do have it, but the majority of them either have a super, super easy economy, or just, you know, you're able to kind of spawn stuff in as you like. And what you will do is basically, talk to someone not in character, or just talk to someone on Discord, or talk to someone in the chat in game. Say, hey, do you want to set up, let's say, a bank heist? And then you'll, talk to a couple of people who want to be cops, a couple of people who want to be criminals, and then go on from there. Go do the scenario, have some fun, see how it goes out. Or maybe you'll set up a drug deal scenario, or like a drug bust scenario where you have like 4 or 5 people inside of a building. The cops maybe have 6 or 7 people. The cops try and raid the bad guys. The bad guys try and get out through the good guys. Stuff like that. It's just kind of where you set up scenarios, go do them, and then you don't really RP in between. It's just set up scenarios that you go and do, have the RP while you're doing a scenario, and then you can kind of, once you're done, reset, talk to other people, out of character, talk to people in chat, and kind of go on from there. Again, these servers aren't really seen too often. I've only seen them a couple times, mostly with servers that a lot of the rappers play on, actually. But again, these things are a server that I have seen here and there for RP, so I figured I would mention them a little bit. I do think, though, that is going to be about it for this video. Again, I wanted to keep this video pretty short and concise, just going over what GTA 5 roleplay is, because again, as I said at the beginning of this video, I know a lot of people are very interested in it, or just getting into it, or hearing about it, or again telling their friends or family about it, and their friends or family are like, what, you're RPing, you're roleplaying, and you're a weirdo. So I figured I'd make this video to maybe explain it a little bit more, and also for people looking to get into it, kind of an idea of what it is. Now, if you're interested in actually going and joining GTA 5 roleplay, I made a video about that you can check out by clicking in the top right of this video right now. You'll be able to go check that out. I made a video again going over the different clients as well. I'll link these videos in the description, or you can just look at them on my page, going over Rage MP versus 5M and the differences between the two. I've made a couple various videos again, giving a starter guide into how to get into RP, as well as some of the best servers you can kind of find and join if you're looking to. So make sure to look around my channel for a little bit if you are interested in starting off in GTRP. And if you are, good luck, and don't get frustrated at first. It is pretty hard to get into, but once you understand it, once you know what you're doing, it's really worth it, and you will have a ton of fun. So either way, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel, and I will see you guys in the next video.